Okay, we're looking at a representation of Gigantopithecus blocki, and as you can see, he's a great big boy. So if this thing was reared up on its hind legs, it would be, to the roof. It'd be 12 feet tall. And a lot of people think this is the source of the Bigfoot legend. I kind of disagree. I think all the Bigfoot sightings are guys that are dressed up to use that as a cover for covens to snatch up kids. Not well known fact, like we're closing in on Halloween. There'll be about 20,000 people sacrificed nationwide during Halloween. You've heard recently about Epstein. You're like, well, how could Epstein happen? How could a guy have sex on, buy two islands and have sex with 11 and 12-year-old girls for 20 years without getting caught? Well, he did get caught at the end and killed. But how does this happen? Well, it's been going on for hundreds of years. If you go back to the Hellfire Club, of which Ben Franklin was a member. Oh, and here's a little side note on that. Check out Ben Franklin's house that he had in England. So they were going to turn it into a tourist attraction. As they were doing reservations in the cellar, they found all these children's skeletons in it. So all the ruling elite are basically devil worshippers. They worship Satan, and Satan has 12 major holidays. Well, the biggest one being Samhain, or Halloween, the way it's pronounced, which is our Halloween. And I think there's a great series of books. The very first one is called Missing 411, and he's written several follow-ups to it. A man named Pallades wrote these books, and you can check YouTube about all what I'm talking about here about Pallades and Missing 411. Well, a lot of people go missing in national parks, and a national park is the perfect place to get somebody, because there's no cell phone coverage. They're away from everybody for a long time, and if you're missing for 3 or 4 hours, and then people go, "Oh, I wonder when he's going to show up." Well, they don't show up for 2 or 3 hours. Well, by the time they get a hold of a park ranger, now it's nightfall. They can't do anything until the next day. And if you read Pallades' books, the reason you don't really have normal access to these stories is they happen in national parks, so you can't get Freedom of Information Acts because they don't ever close the account. And so this guy gets blamed on a lot of stuff, and it's a cover. So every once in a while they'll find, like if a kid goes missing in Yosemite, they find him like 2 mountain ranges over and 3,000 feet higher. And they all have, if they're 5 or 6, sometimes they're found alive, and they all have the same story. This great big talking dog kept him warm. So Pallades, if you go to his website, you figure out he actually thinks it's a Sasquatch or something like that keeping him alive. Well, I don't think so. I think it's a version of this guy. So this is in St. John the Baptist Russian Orthodox Church. It's kind of like in what they call their rogues gallery. So remember the Bible verse where Satan's described as, or the followers of the devil are described as wolf in sheep's clothing. Some of the there's different flavors of the Luciferianism, and one of them is more along the lines of just they brought in elements of Druidism and Wiccan and all that. There's different flavors. They're the generational Satanists that rule the world, and then there's lone practitioners, and then lone covens that aren't in the network. And a lot of them have a guy, a wolf spirit, if you will, that they dress up as. So they grab these people as party favors. Another thing I want you to check out is the Elisha Lamb mystery. and had something to do along the same lines around one of those dates. So check it out. Anyway, if there was a creature actually this big, think about the waste it would generate. This thing is easily, okay, I'm a great big boy. I'm 260, 265. This guy would be almost 4 times my weight, so he would be generating, 60 pounds of waste a day. So there is no Sasquatch or Bigfoot. Probably was at one time, but what they're seeing in the forest is these guys looking for little bitty, easily taken people for their little fun experiments and sex objects, and they need blood for sacrifices. So anyway, check out Pallades Missing 411. There's a FBI, high-ranking FBI agent that recently passed away, Ted Gunderson, who investigated all this, and he investigated it for, he was an FBI agent basically his entire life, and he started noticing it and catching on to it after about 10 years, and spent the rest 20 years after that investigating the devil worshiping and the child sacrifice and child covens and pedophilia that's rampant. It's breaking now. Epstein, Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, they're all going to get it. Thank you.